Formula One sells itself as a sport of innovation, daring, and competition. But beneath the carbon fiber and champagne is a quieter truth. Modern F1 is built on money first, performance second. By the mid-2010s, the paddock had transformed into an exclusive financial club, dominated by manufacturers and billion-dollar operations. And standing awkwardly at the edge of that world, clinging to relevance with determination rather than capital, was one final outlier. Manor Racing was the last truly independent team in Formula One. No factory backing, no automotive giant behind them, no bottomless sponsorship pipeline, just a small British outfit trying to survive in a sport that had outgrown teams like them. Their story is not one of incompetence or lack of ambition. It is the story of how modern Formula One quietly made survival impossible for anyone without massive financial protection. Born into the deep end, Manor's roots stretch back to the 2010 expansion era, when Formula One briefly promised opportunity to smaller entrants. Originally entering as Virgin Racing, then Marussia, the team was built on modest budgets and ambitious dreams. From the beginning, they raced against giants spending 10 times more per season. Where teams like Mercedes operated with vast research departments and wind tunnels, Manor operated with careful spreadsheets and late nights. They lived season to season, constantly searching for funding just to stay on the grid. Their cars were rarely competitive, but they showed resilience. Simply qualifying and finishing races became victories in themselves. In a sport where the back of the grid is often invisible, Manor kept turning up. Then tragedy struck. In 2014, the horrific accident involving Jules Bianchi changed the team forever. Beyond the devastating human loss, the incident carried enormous financial consequences. Legal costs, insurance pressure, and the emotional weight of the accident pushed the team into administration. By the end of that year, Manor had collapsed completely. It should have been the end. The personal gamble that brought them back. The team's resurrection came not from a manufacturer or investor group, but from one man willing to risk everything. Stephen Fitzpatrick, founder of OVO Energy, stepped in during the darkest moment. This was not a calculated corporate acquisition, it was a deeply personal decision. Fitzpatrick believed British motorsport needed independence, and he believed Manor deserved another chance. He injected millions of his own money to revive the team for the 2015 season. Engines were secured, staff were rehired, cars were rushed into existence just days before the opening race. Manor returned to the grid with barely enough time to paint their cars. But Fitzpatrick didn't just buy a team, he inherited a structural problem no amount of passion could fix. Formula One's economics are unforgiving. Prize money is not shared equally. It is heavily weighted toward finishing position and historical status. The difference between 9th and 10th in the Constructors' Championship can mean tens of millions of dollars. For a team like Manor, that difference wasn't profit, it was survival. 2016, one season to stay alive. By 2016, Manor faced a single objective: finish ahead of at least one rival. That was it. They weren't chasing podiums or glory. They were chasing 9th place. Finishing 9th would guarantee roughly $15 million in prize money the following season. That money would allow them to design a new car, retain staff, and continue operating. Fail, and the team would be financially dead. Against expectation, the season delivered a miracle. At the Austrian Grand Prix, rookie driver Pascal Wehrlein drove a flawless race. Through strategy, composure, and mistake-free driving, Wehrlein finished 10th, scoring a single point. 1 point. In the world of Formula One, 1 point is usually meaningless. For Manor, it was everything. That point placed them ahead of Sauber in the constructors' standings. For the first time all year, survival looked possible. Inside the Manor garage, morale surged. Engineers knew exactly what that point represented. Not pride, not validation, money. The team limped toward the season finale in Abu Dhabi, desperately hoping Sauber would not score. The 2 points that ended a team. Formula One is cruel in its simplicity. It does not reward effort, it rewards outcomes. In the second last race of 2016, chaos unfolded. Through circumstance and strategy, Sauber finished with 2 points. Just 2. That was all it took. With that result, Manor fell back to 11th place in the Constructors' Championship. That single shift wiped out an estimated $15 million in guaranteed revenue overnight. There was no appeal, no safety net, no emergency fund. The difference between 9th and 10th was the difference between life and death. Stephen Fitzpatrick had already poured millions into the team. Without prize money, the numbers no longer worked. The cost of developing a 2017 car without central funding was insurmountable. Potential buyers saw an immediate financial sinkhole. Manor entered administration again. This time there was no rescue. The end of the independence. In January 2017, Manor Racing officially ceased operations. Staff were laid off, equipment was sold, the garage fell silent. Their collapse sent a clear message through the paddock. Independence was no longer viable. Manor didn't fail because they were poorly run. They failed because Formula One's economic structure had evolved beyond their existence. The sport had become a closed ecosystem, where entry without massive backing was possible, but survival was not. Manufacturers could absorb losses, billion-dollar owners could wait for returns, independent teams could not afford a single bad weekend. The irony is brutal. Formula One often celebrates competition, but its financial rules actively reduce it. Manor's story proves that even perfection is not enough at the back of the grid. One heroic drive can change a race. It cannot change an economic system. What Manor left behind. Manor did not fail because they were bad at racing. They failed because Formula One became too expensive for small teams to survive. Over time, Formula One slowly changed. It stopped being a sport where hard work and smart thinking were enough. Instead, it became a place where money mattered more than effort. Big teams had huge budgets, powerful factories, and thousands of workers. Small teams like Manor did not. They had to be careful with every dollar. They had to reuse parts, work longer hours, and make tough choices just to show up on race day. In Formula One, money decides many things. Teams with more money can build faster cars, test more ideas, and fix problems quickly. When something breaks, they can replace it right away. When a rule changes, they can adapt fast. Small teams cannot do this. If they make one mistake, it can hurt them for the whole season. The sport also gives more money to teams that finish higher. This means teams that are already strong get even stronger. Teams at the back get less help, even though they need it the most. For Manor, one bad race or one unlucky moment could erase a whole year of hard work. They were always one step away from running out of money. This system creates a big problem. It does not protect teams that are trying their best. It does not reward effort, bravery, or teamwork. It only rewards results. And results are much easier to get when you already have money. This makes it almost impossible for small teams to catch up. Manor kept fighting anyway. Their workers believed in the team. Engineers stayed late. Drivers pushed as hard as they could. Everyone knew they were racing against teams much bigger than them. Still, they showed up every weekend. That takes courage. That takes belief. But belief cannot pay bills. It cannot buy engines. It cannot build new cars. When the money stopped, everything stopped. No matter how much heart the team had, the sport left no room for them to recover. Manor's story shows a hard truth. Formula One may look fair on the outside, but underneath it is not equal. Small teams are allowed to join, but they are not given a real chance to last. The rules favor the rich and powerful, even if no one says it out loud. Manor did not lose because they gave up. They lost because the game changed around them. The sport decided that only big teams mattered. When Manor disappeared, it was not just one team leaving. It was the end of a dream where anyone, no matter how small, could race at the highest level and belong.